teaching and living the way of awareness in the very midst of suffering and confusion. Sakyamuni Buddha, the fully enlightened one, to whom we bow in gratitude. Showing the way fearlessly and compassionately, the stream of our ancestral teachers, to whom we bow in gratitude.
Kính bạch sư ông con kính thưa đại chúng, sáng nay chúng ta sẽ có buổi tụng giới, tụng 5 giới bằng tiếng Anh. Và chúng ta sẽ bắt đầu bằng khai kinh và khai chuông mỏ, sau đó khai kinh và tụng giới.
Sangha Common Procedure. Has the entire community assembled?
The entire community has assembled.
Is there harmony in the community?
Yes, there is harmony.
Is there anyone not being able to be present who has asked to be represented, and have they declared themselves to have done their best to study and practice the training?
No, there is not.
Why has the committee assembled today?
The community has assembled to recite the 5 mindfulness trainings.
Noble community, please listen. Today is August the 1st, the year 2021, has been chosen as the day to recite the 5 mindfulness training. The committee has assembled at an appointed time. It is ready to recite and to hear the training in an atmosphere of harmony. Thus, recitation can proceed. Is this statement clear and complete?
Dear community, this is the moment when we enjoy reciting the 5 mindfulness trainings together. The 5 mindfulness trainings represent the Buddhist vision for global spirituality and ethics. They are a concrete expression of the Buddha teachings on the 4 Noble Truths and the Noble Eightfold Path, the path of right understanding and true love, leading to healing, transformation, and happiness for ourselves and for the world. To practice the 5 mindfulness trainings is to cultivate the insight of interbeing, or right view, which can remove all discrimination, intolerance, anger, fear, and despair. If we live according to the 5 mindfulness trainings, we are already on the path of a bodhisattva. Knowing we are on the path, we are not lost in confusion about our life in the present or in fears about the future. We ask the community to listen with a serene mind. Consider the 5 mindfulness trainings as a clear mirror in which to look at ourselves. Say yes silently every time you see that during the past month you have made an effort to study, practice, and observe the 5 mindfulness trainings read. Dear community, are you ready? These are the 5 mindfulness trainings. The first mindfulness training, reverent for life. Aware of the suffering caused by the destruction of life, I am committed to cultivating the insight of interbeing and compassion, and learning ways to protect lives of people, animals, plants, and minerals. I am determined not to kill, not to let others kill, and not to support any act of killing in the world, in my thinking, or in my way of life. Seeing that harmful actions arise from anger, fear, greed, and intolerance, which in turn come from dualistic and discriminative thinking, I will cultivate openness, non-discrimination, and non-attachment to views, in order to transform violence, fanaticism, and dogmatism in myself and in the world. This is the first mindfulness training. Have we made an effort to study, practice, and observe it during the past month?
The second mindfulness training, true happiness. Aware of the suffering caused by exploitation, social injustice, stealing and oppression, I'm committed to practice generosity in my thinking, speaking and acting. I'm determined not to steal and not to possess anything that should belong to others. And I will share my time, energy and material resources with those who are in need. I will practice looking deeply to see that the happiness and suffering of others are not separate from my own happiness and suffering. That true happiness is not possible without understanding and compassion, and that running after wealth, fame, power, and sensual pleasure can bring much suffering and despair. I'm aware that happiness depends on my mental attitude and not on external conditions, and that I can live happily in the present moment simply by remembering that I already have more than enough conditions to be happy. I'm committed to practice right livelihood so that I can help reduce the suffering of living beings on earth and stop contributing to climate change. This is the second mindfulness training. Have we made an effort to study, practice and observe it during the past month?
The third mindfulness training, true love. Aware of the suffering caused by sexual misconduct, I am committed to cultivating responsibility and learning ways to protect the safety and integrity of individuals, couples, families, and society. Knowing that sexual desire is not love, and that sexual activity motivated by craving always harms myself as well as others. I am determined not to engage in sexual relations without true love and a deep long-term commitment made known to my family and friends. I will do everything in my power to protect children from sexual abuse and to prevent couples and families from being broken by sexual misconduct. Seeing that body and mind are one, I am committed to learning appropriate ways to take care of my sexual energy and cultivating loving kindness, compassion, joy, and inclusiveness, which are the four basic elements of true love, for my greater happiness and the greater happiness of others. Practicing true love, we know that we will continue beautifully into the future. This is the third mindfulness training. Have we made an effort to study, practice, and observe it during the past month?
The fourth mindfulness training, loving speech and deep listening. Aware of the suffering caused by unmindful speech and the inability to listen to others, I'm committed to cultivating loving speech and compassionate listening in order to relieve suffering and to promote reconciliation and peace in myself and among other people, ethnic and religious groups and nations. Knowing that words can create happiness or suffering, I'm committed to speak truthfully using words that inspire confidence, joy, and hope. When anger is manifesting in me, I'm determined not to speak. I will practice mindful breathing and walking in order to recognize and to look deeply into my anger. I know that the roots of anger can be found in my wrong perception and lack of understanding of the suffering in myself and in the other person. I will speak and listen in a way that can help myself and the other person to transform suffering and see the way out of difficult situations. I'm determined not to spread news that I do not know to be certain, nor to utter words that can cause division or discord. I will practice right diligence to nourish my capacity for understanding, love, joy, and inclusiveness, and gradually transform anger, violence, and fear that lie deep in my consciousness. This is the fourth mindfulness training. Have we made an effort to study, practice, and observe it during the past month?
The fifth mindfulness training, nourishment and healing. Aware of the suffering caused by unmindful consumption, I am committed to cultivating good health, both physical and mental, for myself, my family, and my society by practicing mindful eating, drinking, and consuming. I will practice looking deeply into how I consume the four kinds of nutriments, namely edible foods, sense impressions, volition, and consciousness. I am determined not to gamble or to use alcohol, drugs, or any other products which contain toxins, such as certain websites, electronic games, TV programs, films, magazines, books, and conversations. I will practice coming back to the present moment to be in touch with the refreshing, healing, and nourishing elements in me and around me, not letting regrets and sorrow drag me back into the past, nor letting anxieties, fear, or craving pull me out of the present moment. I am determined not to try to cover up loneliness, anxiety, or other suffering by losing myself in consumption. I will contemplate interbeing and consume in a way that preserves peace, joy, and well-being in my body and consciousness, and in the collective body and consciousness of my family, my society, and the earth. This is the fifth mindfulness training. Have we made an effort to study, practice, and observe it during the past month? Dear community, we have recited the 5 mindfulness trainings as the community had wished. We thank all of our communities for helping us to do it serenely.
Reciting the trainings, practicing the way